Tobago, good morning. It is 6:25 a.m. Let me take this time to welcome you to Sunrise here on Tobago Updates Television. I am your host, Lavion Cupid, and we are coming to you live from the Port Mall, downtown Scarborough, Tobago. Again, good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad, regionally and internationally. Thank you to all our viewers that continue to make us a number one, choosing us for your number one programming. To start you off on a morning, another week has started, and here we are. As always, it is a pleasure to be seated here before you. Today is a Monday, the 19th of January 2026. Already 19 days into the new year. As always, I start you off strong with the morning brief, where we keep you updated with all things current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago as a wider entity, regionally and internationally. So starting off strong this morning in a decisive legislative move last Friday, the House of Representatives passed the Tobago House of Assembly Amendment Bill 2026. The bill received unanimous support from the floor, securing 38 votes in favor and 0 against. This passage marks a pivotal moment for governance on the island as it formally clears the path for the expansion of the THA executive. The amendment is designed to facilitate a restructuring that allows for a larger executive body intended to better address administrative needs and enhance governance capacity within the assembly. All right. So currently we know we have 9 divisions. We have 15 elected assemblymen, and so we are waiting to see which divisions will be split. Moving on, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine has announced a group of priority projects to set to commence within the next 3 months. Speaking at a press conference last Friday, the Chief Secretary outlined a clear roadmap for the first quarter of the new term, placing a distinct emphasis on high-speed delivery and operational efficiency. Among the most anticipated developments is the construction of the long-awaited Scarborough Secondary School, the Corland ECCE and the Melva Jofield Youth Hub that will be in WIM. The infrastructure push also includes several housing projects that were carried over from the previous term. As a Blue Marlin myself, of course, I'm happy to hear that news for Scarborough Sec. The Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation has condemned the assault and robbery of a Canadian visitor on the island on Friday, January 16, 2026, describing the incident as isolated. In a statement issued yesterday, the division expressed concern for the visitor and extended best wishes to him and his family for a speedy recovery. The matter has been reported to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, with the division expressing confidence that the investigation is being treated as a priority. Very unfortunate news. We know that in 2025 we would have seen the murder of a visitor, an American visitor in the Castara area. Again, Castara, known as one of our most peaceful areas on the island. We're hoping for a quick resolve. Looking nationally, rather, Minister of Defense Wayne Sturgis says the zones of special operations will only be declared after consultation with the National Security Council and will not be based on race. Speaking at a media briefing, he dismissed claims of racial targeting as unfounded. Sturgis said the proposed ZOSA's bill includes safeguards to protect citizens' rights, including limits on detention and restrictions on the use of curfews or cordons to situations of necessity. He added that ZOSAs form part of a broader crime strategy focused on tackling the root of causes of violence alongside social and economic interventions. The initiative will be supported by a social transformation committee aimed at reducing reliance on criminal activity, while provisions seek to dismantle the influence of gangs and restore lawful control in affected communities. And right there, that is actually an indicator of our topic this morning, ZOSA. The ZOSA bill, we're wondering where in Tobago, sometimes we as Tobagonians, we sit and we think that this might only be applicable in Trinidad, but we do have a few areas that are deemed as hotspots, namely Bethel, Plymouth, Blackrock. And so my thoughts are, if implemented, and it moved from 60 days to 180 days, you have curfews and so on within these areas. When I think of Blackrock, I think about getting food at Frontline Flavors. So I'm wondering, how would something like this affect a thriving business like that, a thriving, also well-known and needed business like that within a small community? So much to unpack there and look at. Moving over regionally, in Barbados, we see Prime Minister Mia Mottley has announced that the country will hold a general election next month, officially signaling the start of the electoral process. Speaking to supporters, she confirmed that election writs will be prepared immediately and submitted to the president. Parliament is scheduled to be dissolved on the 19th, and that is today, with nominations set for Tuesday, the 27th of January. Polling day will take place on Wednesday, the 11th of February. 2 weeks after nominations close. The announcement has put political parties on high alert as the campaign period gets underway. A very short period, I think it's like about a little over 3 weeks, and then Bajans head to the polls. All right, and finally wrapping up internationally, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali has accused the U.S. President Donald Trump of inciting weeks of deadly nationwide protests, describing him as a criminal and guilty of interference in Iran's internal affairs. In a televised address, Ayatollah said the demonstrations, which began on December 28th over economic hardships and escalated into widespread anti-government unrest, were part of a foreign-backed plot led by the United States. Rights groups reported that the protests have resulted in more than 3,000 deaths and over 22,000 arrests. Ayatollah also blamed seditionists and foreign enemies for the violence, portraying the unrest as orchestrated rather than grassroots. Trump responded by urging Iran's leaders to step aside, calling for new leadership as tensions remain high and authorities continue efforts to suppress protests and restrict communications. All right, more geopolitical tensions happening there worldwide, and as per usual, the U.S. is in smack dab in the middle of it. We definitely will continue to pay attention to international stories as they evolve. As we see, we are not protected from such. Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to the morning brief. And as I told you before, we will be discussing the proposed bill, well, the bill that has already hit the parliament and will be moving into the lower house later on this week. And that is the zones of special operations. And we will be speaking to none other than prominent attorney at law, Martin George, as we get his perspective on this bill and other matters pertaining to Tobago moving forward. Mr. George, thank you so much for joining us, and good morning, sir.
Yes, hi, good morning to you and good morning, Tobago.
All right, so we're starting off strongly this morning. We know that in 2017, Jamaica would have implemented this very same piece of legislation. Thereafter, in 2017, they have had to make amendments some 17 times to the bill based on an increase of police killings, reports of police abusing their power. So my first question to you this morning, sir, is what are your thoughts on this bill? Positive, or you see chaos unfolding from this?
Well, the thing is, I mean, it's difficult to say because one has to first understand from the government what is their real objective in these bills. All right. I mean, it's not just to say, well, we are patterning what Jamaica has done. You know, the question is, what has really been the success of the Jamaican example? In other words, if it is that it is successful, then why is it something that has to be continued almost indefinitely? Because that's what you've seen in Jamaica. And you have to ask yourself, is that the intention here in Trinidad and Tobago, that you're going to have, almost indefinite, mini states of emergency? I mean, however you want to describe it, zones of special operation, whatever. But the point is, it's almost like a mini state of emergency in specific areas, going on indefinitely, because that cannot be a long-term solution to your crime and criminality in the country, because then you might as well continue with the general state of emergency forever. I mean, it's been running for almost 2 years. It started under PNM and then, was criticized by the then opposition. When the opposition came into government, they implemented it, forthwith, and it's been continued. And well, now they're saying that they're going to end it at the end of January, but then they want to replace it with these zones of special operations. So the question would be, what is the intention of the government in terms of what do they seek to achieve by these zones of special operation that could not be achieved with a general state of emergency? Remember, you had a general SOE running, right? You had detention orders being issued left, right, and center. In fact, I think up to last week, detention orders were still being issued. So if you had all these wide-ranging powers over the entire nation for more than a year running, including, as I say, what the previous government had in place, then what is it that these zones of special operation will achieve that you could not achieve during almost 2 years of a general state of emergency?
Former Prime Minister Stuart Young said that we have enough laws on the books. He says there's no need for this new piece of legislation. We have enough laws that could be enacted to reduce a crime, and sees it further as just the sitting administration finding an excuse, which is a poor excuse to continue what is a supposed state of emergency. Is that your view also, so that we have enough laws on the book that we could reduce crime?
Well, we have more than sufficient laws, I mean, that's not the issue at all. We have more than sufficient laws. The question has always been the issue of the enforcement and the implementation. And it comes back to always the question of the efforts by the police service. And, I mean, the thing is, I keep saying, we must not at all let the needle shift from the focus on the police service and what they are doing or not doing. I mean, the thing is, you go to other countries and you see how, police services operate. You see how they function. You see how they use the technology. You see how they use the cameras, the networks, etc. Why is it we cannot do the same thing? I mean, it is just unbelievable. I remember some years ago when I was in Singapore and, speaking to one of the senior police officials there, he was explaining to us that there was this gang that they discovered who had robbed a bank in Singapore, right? And, they saw them on camera, and he said they didn't arrest them. He said they left them, and we were like, huh? So you saw them on camera, you saw them rob the bank, you saw them leave, and you didn't arrest them? He said, no, not until a week later. So we said, well, why? Why did you wait so long? He said, what we wanted was to keep tracking them. He said, because their camera network is so good. He said they kept tracking them to see all their associates, who they're meeting with, who they're sharing the money with, who they're splitting up the money with, who may have been the masterminds behind it. He said, and then a week later, they swooped in and nabbed everybody. So not just those who actually perpetrated the incident itself, they got all the players, including the masterminds, because their camera network and their information network was so good that they were able to leave them and say, we basically, as we say in TNT, we're giving you a rope, so you give them rope, let them run, because they know that they're going to get a whole lot more than just these individuals who actually carried out the robbery. So the point is, the blueprint is out there, the template is there, and it boggles the mind as to why our TTPS cannot get it right. And, unfortunately, we keep making excuses for the TTPS, and we keep saying, well, they under-resourced, they understaffed. Come on, let's get serious. When you look at the number of police officers we have per capita, we have a very high rate compared to some other countries. So therefore, what are our officers doing? It's because they are not being deployed effectively, managed properly, used efficiently, and the technology is not being implemented in a meaningful and sustainable way to ensure that, look, you build up this seamless integrated network, which can then now ensure that, look, you could have one man sitting in a room monitoring 10, 15 cameras, and basically, say, for instance, Tobago, you could cover half of Tobago with just that, if you understand me. So, we really have to think in terms of what are our overall solutions to this question of crime and criminality, as opposed to the knee-jerk reaction and, making it appear, well, okay, yes, you're doing something by implementing, which really it's a mini state of emergency. And, the point that was made in the news just now about, the restrictions on business, that is something that is a serious concern. In fact, I saw the TNT chamber, they came out already and raised concerns as to how is it going to affect businesses? How is it going to affect working people who have to go in and out of these districts? How is it going to affect school children who have to get to and from school? So, you ask yourself, how do you manage such a scenario effectively while objectively reducing crime and still not, causing total havoc and disruption in the lives of people?
Yeah, and exactly as you touched on that point right there with the business community and the constitutional rights of citizens. So even if I'm to bring it right home to Tobago, and as I would have mentioned before, even pinpointing Black Rock, most of the persons I know in Black Rock are law-abiding citizens, but of course we would have had a few incidents, unfortunate incidents coming out from there. But we know that Black Rock is also such a cultural hub, a very unified village. You pass through there 7 p.m. in the night. They very much their basketball court is dilapidated, but they're bouncing ball that hour of the night. Everybody's sitting by and and playing football or whatever they're doing. So now you have a small village like that with a few elements of criminality, majority, the greater 90-something% law-abiding citizens trying to make a dollar. There's a new little cakery on the side of the road. When we talk about constitutional rights of persons, movement in and out of an area like that, we're talking about curfews, we're talking about police being able to search you at any point in time, we're talking about roadblocks, we're talking about police being able to arrest you without a warrant, go into your house without a warrant. How do you see these elements? Because so many times we talk about these bills before they're implemented, but when they're physically implemented and the citizens see the ramifications, now we're like, what is going on? We want to jump into some sort of movement. What sort of fallout do you see from the implementation where civil unrest is concerned?
Right, and that's why I raised the question about Jamaica, because you ask yourself, what has really been the success rate in Jamaica in relation to the implementation of these, zones of special operations or whatever they call them in Jamaica? I think they refer to it as limited state of emergency, right? But the reality is that you also have in Jamaica a better system of checks and balances on the police service, right? Because in Jamaica, you have the oversight body called INDICOM, and they are in charge of oversight for the police service, the defense force, all their arms of the protective service have to account to this body called INDICOM. And that body is a very serious body. So therefore, they take complaints a lot more seriously than we do in Trinidad and Tobago. We've heard repeatedly the Police Complaints Authority, where, the head of it, Mr. David West, has repeatedly said that, he's under-resourced, understaffed. He doesn't have the power to go into police stations to, subpoena documents, to subpoena evidence or information that he requires. So therefore, that is always something that is a challenge. But the point is, Jamaica has a very rigorous oversight system. And not just that, you have public bodies and public organizations in Jamaica which are very rigorous and vigorous in their observation and monitoring of the the excesses and abuses which may occur with the police. There's this group called Jamaicans for Justice. I could give you that as an example. And they filed a matter, and it went all the way to the Privy Council, where they felt that, look, one of the persons who had been appointed by the Police Service Commission in Jamaica had a history and a track record of excesses and abuses of authority and power, and there were several police killings which had occurred under his watch, and they said, well, he's not a good candidate because of that history. And the Police Service Commission in Jamaica did not, take the complaint very seriously. They just had a very cursory investigation, and they dismissed the complaints. And that body, that group, Jamaicans for Justice, they sued the Police Service Commission. It went all the way to the Privy Council, and the Privy Council decided and ruled in their favor and said, listen, the Police Service Commission is wrong. They have a duty to fully investigate any such complaint and ensure that, you vet properly the persons who are carrying out these higher functions within the police service. So you ask yourself, even for us in TNT, do we have a rigorous enough process in that regard? And do we adhere to that ruling from the Privy Council, because it's binding on us, because we are still subscribing to the Privy Council as our final court of appeal. So therefore, these are things that you have to look at in terms of the oversight and monitoring to guard against the excesses and abuses of police authority in such scenarios.
And so on the business part of it as well, how do you see the chamber, the various arms of the chamber? I'm not reacting because we already had a reaction, but being able to work alongside the government in this particular instance. And I'm not sure if any consultation was done with the chamber, because if I know that there is a ZOSA implemented in a specific area, for now we see it moved from 60 days to 180 days. I'm not going in there, if there is something that I need within that area, I'm going to try to source it somewhere else. So it have to only be the persons. So was there any collaboration with the government and the chamber before this? And also, what sort of contingency or what even plans the chamber might have to help alleviate the stresses that will become on the business community?
Well, to my knowledge, I don't know of any consultation that occurred with the chamber, either the Trinidad chamber or even in Tobago, prior to the government coming up with this bill. And in fact, from the reaction you see from the Trinidad and Tobago chamber, it seems that they themselves, were, caught off guard by this. So therefore, the issue really is, how does it work practically? How do we implement it from a practical perspective? And again, the question is, what are the objectives? You see, that's what I always measure things by. In other words, it's not just to say, well, you want to do this or you're trying to do this. Okay, what is your objective? How do we measure the results? Because if it's not measured and monitored and, matched up against, well, okay, what was our starting point? What is our end point? That kind of thing. Then basically, it's just, you just fire and scatter shots and hoping that something, you hit something. Yeah. And we cannot approach crime fighting in a holistic manner by doing scatter shots. You need to have specific, well-planned, well-thought-out initiatives which are supposed to ensure not only the safety and security, but to also enable people to be able to go about their daily lives. So when you set up a zone of special operation and you add to that possibly a curfew, what does that do for those people who live there, who may have to work late at night, who may have to come home late at night, who may have, may be working, in emergency services, if you understand me. Or say, for instance, somebody gets ill, and you need to get them to the hospital. I really think we need a lot more clarity from the government in terms of these zones of special operation, and to just simply say that, well, the Prime Minister will designate these zones. On what basis?
Yes.
That's the question, on what basis is she going to be able to say, well, look, this area is going to be a zone of special operation? What's your reason, your rationale? What's your game plan? What's your objective?
Well,
you set up a zone of special operation for what purpose?
So it was blanketed with data. It is going to be implemented by data received. And of course, I want to believe that citizens will not be able to ask about this data because we will be told that it's sensitive information, national security, and of course, we cannot let the criminals know that we're coming for them.
Yes.
Right?
The usual rubbish that is spouted by our supposed security officials, which is, absolute nonsense. I mean, you see how things are done, say, for instance, in other countries where they are able to come out and explain to people. They're able to give you a press conference set up and show you, well, okay, look, based upon this information, based upon these results, based upon these statistics, this is what we were looking at, this is why we're doing this, that kind of thing. But the point is, in Trinidad and Tobago, you always have our officials, giving you this nonsense. Oh, we can't say anything because it's a threat to national security. Oh, give me a break, please. I mean, the point is, all of these things, and yet still you have not been able to get a proper handle on the crime and criminality in the country.
And so, of course, with conversations like these and bills like these, we have the conversation shifts to the race. And so I would have spoken to former Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith, last week, who said, of course, we're going to be hearing talks as this goes along after implementation that PNM strongholds are being targeted. And of course, PNM strongholds just equates to predominantly Afro-Black constituencies. We see Defense Minister Wayne Stewart say this is not about race. Nobody would be racially profiled. However, even the United States in 2021, they did independent study was looked into Jamaica even as well, where there was racial profiling, and of course the increase in police killings moved from 117 to 121. What are your views on the racial profiling element of this bill after the implementation?
Well, the thing is, I mean, I saw some recent statistics which seem to suggest that the northern division of the TTPS and the central division of the TTPS have some of the highest rates of crime and homicides. So I would imagine that certainly that would be part of the data that they were using to implement these zones of special operation. But I mean, the point is, it still is going to be interesting to see what you are designating as a zone. How wide is this zone going to be? How small is it going to be? What would be the boundaries that you are setting for this so-called zone of special operation? And I mean, the thing is, if it is that you have certain communities which may traditionally have been, given a bad reputation or a bad name, then what about all the law-abiding people living within those communities? Just as you pointed out, I'm using Blackhawk as an example. Why must they be inconvenienced over and above other citizens simply because you are saying that you can't get a handle on a few, lawless individuals within the community? And it comes back to my initial question. What are these zones of special operations supposed to achieve that a nationwide state of emergency running for almost 2 years could not achieve? And I think that's what the government needs to answer and give as an explanation as to why they really want to go ahead with this.
So I want to ask you also about the legal ramifications for the state, because usually in instances like this, somebody's going to sue the state. And it is never the officer, it is never the police officer, it's never the doctor, it's never the nurse, it is always the state. Taxpayers always have to pay millions of dollars because an officer, a medical practitioner would have made an oopsie. So my question here for you is, what sort of monitoring is there in place that the state isn't sued of millions and billions of dollars? Because police officers who usually, and does have a reputation in Trinidad and Tobago, abuse their power, go above and beyond within the time frame of whatever they're executing. Something goes wrong. I mean, even here in Tobago, last year, we would have had those 2 incidents with the elderly man being shot, and then also the gentleman in Bethel, and we still haven't had any news on those yet. So what sort of policies are there in place to protect the state in this operation that they're looking to implement?
Well, I would love to hear from the government in that regard as to what they are doing, because at the end of the day, if you think back, even during COVID, if you recall, you had police officers abusing their powers under the emergency regulations in COVID. And that wasn't, an anti-crime measure. That was a public health issue. But you had them going into people's businesses, shutting them down without proper authority, harassing patrons, that kind of thing. And some of them were sued. You had people filing actions as a result. So the point is, again, it comes back to what I keep saying, your management, oversight, governance of the police service. That, I think, is a fundamental problem that we in TNT keep ignoring, and we keep making excuses for it without addressing it as the root cause of the problem. Because in other words, if you had your internal disciplinary procedures and policies whereby you terminated officers, you gave them severe penalties for their actions, then you would see in some way that there would be a lessening in these excesses and abuses. But because they know that they get away with it with no consequence, no repercussion, no penalty whatsoever, they continue unchecked with that type of behavior. You look at how in other countries police officers are terminated summarily. Sometimes when they behave in excessive manners, or they immediately put on suspension without pay, that kind of thing. In Trinidad and Tobago, we love to suspend them with full pay, and then the suspension drags on for years, and like most of them they up in New York working for US dollars, and they laughing at us because they're getting two salaries. They're getting the salary from the police service, which keeps running, and they earning US dollars in the States.
So I want to touch a bit right before we wrap up on the Tobago House of Assembly Amendment Bill that was passed recently, giving us more secretaries also. So I mean, more secretaries mean more division. But even before I touch on that, Prime Minister Kamala Persad said this fiscal year, Tobago's autonomy bill will come to Parliament. So my question to you is, I know Chief Secretary Fale Augustine has a specific bill that he is looking at, to benefit Tobago. Of course, this is his legacy that he wants to leave behind, like all great politicians that want to leave a legacy. Do you see the Chief Secretary Fale Augustine and Prime Minister Kamala Persad being able to mesh and come together that Tobago would be able to get what the chief sees, or do you see some sort of friction might be the fallout here?
Well, given the majorities that they both have, I can see no reason why they will not be able to work together. They're already very much on the same page, on the same side, etc. So I would imagine that it should be very easy for them to achieve their objectives, right? The majority that the government has in the parliament in Trinidad, and then of course the 15-0 that there is in the THA in Tobago. I can't see any impediment, being in the way of them achieving whatever collaborative objectives they want to, go after. The question would be, what does autonomy mean for Tobago or Tobagonians? And that is the question that I have asked several times, and you ask different people and you get different answers and different versions of what they think it should be or what, and, I mean, I have always stressed, and I will just make the point here again. The more important aspect that Tobagonians should be focused on is financial autonomy. That's where you really should be focused, rather than this notion of, saying, well, I want autonomy just as a blanket word. What on earth does that mean to the average citizen in Tobago? When you get this quote unquote autonomy, where are you getting your funding from? Wouldn't you still have to be going back to central government every year asking for $4 or $5 billion? So then, what have you really achieved? Because let me tell you, he who controls the purse strings, he controls the entire scenario. It's like they say, he who pays the piper calls the tune. Right. So, what is this big, fuss about quote unquote autonomy? If you don't have the fiscal and financial autonomy and independence, that is really the foundation of it. And, I've always used a very simple and basic example. When you're young and you're living under your parents' roof and you're dependent on them for food, clothing, shelter, transport, meals, everything. You have to do as they say and, follow their rules because, you can't have autonomy or independence. But when you grow up and you become a man, you're earning your own money, you have your own financial independence. If you decide you want to go and rent somewhere or, buy a car or whatever, you don't have to necessarily go and ask your parents, well, mommy, could I buy this? Because you have your own money, you have your own financial independence. And once you have that, then the issue of this quote-unquote autonomy fades into irrelevance. Right. But it's not an idea that I've been able to convince people in Tobago about.
We will pay attention. We will be paying attention to that. And of course, we'll be inviting you back as we continue the conversation, because I'm pretty sure that is one of Chief Secretary Fally Augustine's first order of business. And we will definitely be inviting you back to talk on that. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Viewers, so that was a prominent attorney at law, Martin George, as we spoke about the ZOSA, Zones of Special Operations, and how it might affect Tobago, but also different constituencies across Trinidad and Tobago. Paying attention to that. Imagine having a curfew within your village. All right, so when the programming here on Sunrise is done, we are not done totally on Tobago Updates Television. We head on over to the morning show with the lovely Vanessa and, of course, the very handsome Akin Labi. Good morning, guys.
I really love how you took the tone down, Lavian. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Well, if not for anything, I'm good at what I do.
Yeah, definitely.
How are you guys this morning?
The weekend was good. Got some time to relax, so I'm very refreshed and be ready to tackle the week ahead.
I think my weekend just started the same as this morning in terms of just getting up and getting it.
Well, I had a lovely weekend. After Tobago Updates gathered together, it's always good to break bread with brethren. So it was a lovely seeing everybody yesterday. Kudos to everyone that came together to make yesterday a success. And as we go into 2026, of course, we're going to keep our foot on their necks, going together hard together, and of course, attaining the goal. I want to make sure and wish you guys a really, really wonderful day and a great show. And we have a pack one for them. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. All right, viewers, so that's it for Sunrise here on Tobago Updates Television. Thank you so much for waking up early every morning and joining me. It's always a pleasure to be seated here before you. I want to wish you a wonderful day, and as always, tomorrow we continue conversations that you want to have right here on Tobago Updates Television. After the morning show, we head on to GMT with Chanel Felix. I want to wish you a really great day. See you tomorrow.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships, it's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. It's who we are at the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. We're deepening our commitment to the region, continuing to invest in the networks, services, and digital solutions that move Caribbean businesses forward. Whether you are a mid-sized business or multinational player, we bring you resilient connectivity, personalized service, and tailored IT solutions, all powered by local teams that truly have your back. We're here to help you navigate challenges, grow, and achieve your goals with practical solutions, reliable networks, and a partnership rooted in trust and your long-term success. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Today is Monday, the 19th of January 2026. Yeah, it's a new work week. I hope that you were rested over the weekend and you're up and you're ready to tackle the week ahead with a lot of productivity in mind. We have a very interesting show for you all this morning, and I'm joined in the studio by the lovely Renessa Ortiz. Good morning, Renessa.
Good morning, Akinlawi. Usually you introduce me as the lovely Renessa, so I don't know where the other lovely went this morning. But good morning to our viewers here at Tobago Updates Morning Show. It's always a pleasure to be in studio to bring to you all the conversations that we have in store for you.
Yes, viewers, as Renessa said, we have some lovely conversations in store for you all. But before we get into any of that, we head on over to our news in 90 seconds.
And here's what's making news in 90 seconds for Monday, January 19th, 2026. In a decisive legislative move last Friday, the House of Representatives passed the Tobago House of Assembly Amendment Bill 2026. The bill received unanimous support from the floor, securing 38 votes in favor and 0 against. This passage marks a pivotal moment for governance on the island as it formally clears the path for the expansion of the THA executive. The amendment is designed to facilitate a restructuring that allows for a larger executive body, intended to better address administrative needs and enhance governance capacity within the Assembly. Up next, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine has announced a group of priority projects set to commence within the next 3 months. Speaking at a press conference on Friday, the Chief Secretary outlined a clear roadmap for the first quarter of the new term, placing a distinct emphasis on high-speed delivery and operational efficiency. Among the most anticipated developments is the construction of the long-awaited Scarborough Secondary School, the Corland ECCE, and the Melva Jofield Youth Hub. The infrastructure push also includes several housing projects that were carried over from the previous term. And finally, the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation has condemned the assault and robbery of a Canadian visitor in Tobago on Friday, January 16, 2026, describing the incident as isolated. In a statement issued yesterday, the division expressed concern for the visitor and extended best wishes to him and his family for a speedy recovery. The matter has been reported to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, with the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation expressing confidence that the investigation is being treated as priority. And that was your news in 90 seconds. These and other stories in our major newscasts at 6:30 p.m. Be viewing Tobago Updates Television.
Thank you very much, Vanessa, for that news in 90 seconds. And we see, regrettably, another incident of crime involving a visitor to the shores of Tobago. We know that Tobago is generally a very safe place for visitors, but it's unfortunate that this had to happen on the, well, I don't want to say on the heels, but following a recent murder of one of a visitor from the US late last year. So we really hope that the TTPS will deal with this with urgency, as was stated in the media release, and that we could make our visitors feel safe by giving them some swift justice.
It's always a tragedy when we hear about visitors visiting the island of Tobago, especially where we know tourism is one of our main sources of income here on the island. And this actually puts a damper, because this news actually goes back to the visitor's home country.
Yes.
And then that is broadcasted in a way, and people have to wonder, should I go here? So we're hoping that the TTPS breaks ground on this and that they do get the justice that they deserve.
All right, thank you very much for that news in 90 seconds, Vanessa. Viewers, it's time to celebrate with those who are celebrating with us. We head on over to our birthday shoutouts. Yes, and at Tobago Updates, we like to celebrate. Whatever you're celebrating, we want to celebrate with you. And we start off by saying happy birthday to Mr. Andres Sebro. Yes, the celebrity former police officer right here in Tobago. We celebrate with you. We say happy birthday. God's richest blessings on a special day. We wish you happiness and joy, and your loved ones surround you with all that love, and that in the coming year you achieve all that you set your heart to.
Up next, we have Arvel Mills. Happy birthday to you from the Tobago Updates family. Wishing you a bright day and a prosperous year ahead. Wishing you all God's richest blessings upon your life in this new year.
And we say happy birthday also to the lovely songstress, Miss Delise Nancis. Yes, happy birthday to you. You're looking very lovely with your hairstyle there in this picture. We know that you're going to dress up and you're going to look very, very fancy this evening as you go out to celebrate. We pray that you stay safe and you surround yourself with those who want the best for you and they're looking out for you in a good way. We pray that you take some time off to reflect on the blessings of God in your life, and that moving forward, you put Him in everything you do.
Up next, we have Avi Bacchus. Happy birthday to you, Miss Bacchus, from the Tobago Updates family. I would just like to put in here what Dwayne usually says. Please ensure to swing by the studio and drop off some cake and ice cream for us. And that we hope that this year going forward in your new year around the sun, that you achieve all the goals that you set your heart to.
Happy belated birthday greetings to Miss Pamela Auguste. Happy belated birthday to you, Miss Auguste. God's richest blessings. And yes, you've been blessed to see so many years on this lovely, lovely earth. You've been a blessing to so many persons as the years go by, and we pray that you continue to be that blessing to others. Happy birthday to you.
Happy belated birthday to Alia Balgobin, one of the staff here at Tobago Updates. We want to say that we know that you enjoyed your birthday, and we're wishing you all the best going forward in your new orbit around the sun, that God continues to richly bless you, and that you continue to enjoy the birthday greetings, that you continue to enjoy all the gifts that are still being passed on to you, and happy birthday from us.
And finally, we say happy birthday to Mr. Andrew Primus. Happy belated, that is birthday to Mr. Andrew Primus. We know you would have celebrated well over the weekend. We thank God for your life, and we pray that moving forward, He would be in the center of all things that you do, and everything that you put your heart to, everything that you put your hands to will be a success and will be productive. Yes, viewers, so whatever you're celebrating, we want to celebrate with you, a birthday, an anniversary, a graduation, whatever it is, we want to celebrate with you. So send us your information right here on Tobago Updates, and Tobago, Trinidad, the region, and the world will celebrate with you. So, Vanessa, who do we have in the program this morning?
Now, Akinlabi, as you stated this morning, we have an interesting conversation. So this morning we are here with Sergeant Karen Joseph of the TTPS. He's here to talk to us about road safety for motorists and pedestrians, obeying the regulations on the road, and something that a lot of motorists don't really like, the wrecking aspect of it. And after that, we're going to have conversations with Damian Edwards, the president of the ASI Tobago chapter, and Diamond Andrews, vice president of the ASI Tobago chapter, and they're going to be talking about Advent Business Expo 2026.
All right, so we have a lot of interesting conversations there. We're going to be talking about some things that I know you'll want to log on to listen to what the police has to say in terms of pedestrians and motorists and obeying traffic laws. And I reckon, you know, in the light of all these fines that were introduced late last year, really the government really clamping on errant behavior on the roads. So that's going to be a very interesting conversation. Viewers, we want to thank you for being with us, whether it's on our Facebook Live, our YouTube channel, 102 on AMPLIA, 121 or 130 on Flow, and 33 on Digital. Whether you're in Tobago, Trinidad, the Caribbean, or the wider world, we want to thank you for making Tobago Updates Tobago's #1 television station. And we ask you to do us a favor. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back after these messages.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships. It's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are at the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meats served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show, and we have in studio with us Sergeant Karen Jonas of the TTPS, and he's here to tell us a bit about the TTPS updates, giving us those crime updates, as well as to speak to us about road safety for motorists and pedestrians, obeying the regulations on the road, and that controversial issue of wrecking vehicles. Good morning and welcome, sir.
Good morning to you and your viewers. Good morning, Tobago and the world at large.
So we want to get right into it. We want to start things off with the crime updates. What is the latest with crime in Tobago?
Right. So, unfortunately, we had a murder for the year already. But I can report to you this morning that that murder has been solved. And a young man who originally is from Trinidad that is living in Tobago for a while is appearing before the court this morning to answer that charge.
Excellent.
There was also an unfortunate situation where tourists were targeted in the Plymouth area. The police is working assiduously and try to bring some closure to that. I can report that some of the items were already recovered in the area, and we should make some breakthrough pretty soon. Other than that, we continue to see a reduction in violent crime in the Tobago space. Our thorough crime really in Tobago is more so breaking offenses. So we want to employ people to put in measures in place that will make themselves a harder target, so that these incidents will be reduced going forward. Yeah.
All right. I don't know if there's anything else concerning crime updates that you want to share with the public, because if not, we will dive right into the issues.
No, there's not. The year has just started, so.
Yeah, so.
As I said, we continue to see a reduction from last year, and we hope that that remains. Police have been employing several operations throughout the week. So persons are being targeted, persons are being ticketed, persons are being arrested for various offenses and taken before the court.
I know that there were a couple of unsolved murders from last year. I don't know if you have any progress reports concerning those.
Well, I know that the homicide is still working on a few of those murders, and we should see some closure in the near future concerning those murders. I don't want to get too much involved in the ongoing investigations of those murders.
Of course. So we're getting into the issue of road safety for motorists and pedestrians. We know that road safety is an ongoing issue in Trinidad and Tobago, and we've seen a reduction in the numbers of fatalities in road accidents and that kind of thing throughout the country over the years, but there's always work to be done.
Yes.
What is the message that the TTPS will have for the public concerning road safety?
Well, we know that we are heading straight into the carnival period, and of course, of major concern to us is the excessive drinking of alcohol and driving on the nation's road. Right? So we know that persons will tend, when they go out, to have a beverage or two. So we would like to see persons put in measures in place, have a designated driver, make sure and go to the safe and sober zones. Don't drink alcohol at all if you know you have to drive, because the fines are pretty hefty. You know that the fines are double now. So recently, it was just $12,000 now. Your first offense is $24,000. So we are asking persons to refrain if you know they haven't put things in place for driving. Do not drink alcohol when you go to the feds. The police will be out there with the breathalyzers.
Yep, there are persons who like to say they will drink now and then maybe an hour or two before the fete ends, they sober up. Is that something that the TTPS recommends people do?
No, we don't recommend that. But I mean, we cannot tell persons not to drink. But I know most of the fetes have a safe and sober zone. So we see persons tend to have their drinks cut off, as you say, and go to the safe and sober zones and wait there for a while until they are tested and their blood alcohol level is of the legal limit so that they can go behind the wheel. We don't subscribe to that, but however, if you so choose, make sure that before you leave that zone, that you have less than 35 micrograms of blood alcohol content, right? So that you can avoid being arrested and fined those hefty fines.
Now, when we talk about road safety, we always talk about the motorists, but I think also there is emphasis and importance of the pedestrians understanding the road as well. I know when I was growing up, when you're walking on the road, there's usually this term that I was told by my parents, ensure when you're walking and you hear a vehicle coming, you stop and you look back. But nowadays, you're not seeing that happening. What are some of the advice that you can give to some of the pedestrians as it relates to road safety as well? Because they usually believe as soon as you get on that zebra crossing, you automatically assume a motorist sees you.
Yes.
Which should be, but realistically, when you're driving in a vehicle, there are so many blind spots in a vehicle that pedestrians aren't aware of. So can you go into that a bit first?
All right. So we want persons to use the zebra crossings, but use it responsibly. Remember, road safety is everybody's business. It's not just up to the drivers, but the pedestrians as well. So we are seeing persons crossing the road with their cell phones, and they're down in their cell phones. They're not raising their head to look to see the oncoming traffic. So avoid those situations. Put your cell phones away when you're crossing the road and pay attention. Because as you said, sometimes the drivers don't see you because of the blind spots. And there are corners. Let's take, for instance, Scotiabank corner, Old Scotiabank, Ganside Street. Person just comes from behind that building and onto the zebra crossing without looking or without any care whether that car is coming or if that car is going to stop. So we want persons, pedestrians more or less, to take care, be observant, and look before you cross the roads and see off that cellular phone. Also in the night, wear bright colors. Some persons exercise in the night on any highway. So wear reflective vests and those things so that the motorists will be able to see you when you are in those dark areas.
Let's go on to the issue of wrecking. It sounds as though the wrecker is going to be in full force come January 2026, this January 2026.
Well, in recent past, it's known to the public that the wrecker, more so around Carnival time or prior to Carnival time, is around and maybe picking up vehicles as they see fit where it becomes necessary. So persons who are in contravention of road traffic signs and parking within 9 meters of a road or parking where there's not supposed to be parking, the wrecker may be around to pick up your vehicle, right? So the responsibility of the police in this instance is to make sure that they make a brief check for the driver of the motor vehicle. And that brief check doesn't mean that you walk from here all over Scarborough looking for the driver. So you look around, you inquire. If the driver is not there, then the police can wreck your vehicle. However, if you, as the driver, comes at the point in time before that vehicle is moved from the spot, then the police must release that vehicle to you and give you a ticket for the offense that you have committed. Right? If that doesn't happen and the vehicle is taken away, then it will be taken to the Scarborough police station most likely. And then there's a wrecking fee of $500 and a storage fee of $200 per day if you haven't reclaimed your vehicle on the day that it was wrecked. And so persons must be aware that there are laws, there are rules and regulations, and we have to pay attention to that and obey those rules and regulations to avoid those situations.
So, go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, there is a culture within the Tobago space as it relates to traffic regulations and violations. What do you think we need here in Tobago specifically to shift that culture as it relates to disobeying some of the regulations, some of the things that we need to do? Because you would hear, that's a small thing, man, we don't need to fight up about that. What are some of the things that the TTPS would probably implement or would hope that changes that culture, that mindset that we have as it relates to road safety?
Well, I would think that given the hefty fines that are now being charged, persons will take stock of themselves and decide, oh, listen, I need to obey these rules and regulations. In the absence of that, the TTPS has its campaign. We are on Facebook, giving the information to person and asking persons to obey the regulations before we issue them these tickets, right? And I know some people, there's an issue now where this warning is a big thing. So it's at the discretion of the officer now, and the U-turn system does give that opportunity for a warning. So, and then you see now, persons are warned, and the week after, you're being caught and you haven't fixed the problem. So hopefully with the pending legislation, that might be a change, and a change in the culture of the persons and the mindset of our thinking here, more so in Tobago.
Now, just going back to the wrecking a bit. Now, recently we saw that a vehicle in Port of Spain was wrecked and there were damages that happened to the vehicle. Yes. Now, there are people who have, for the past few years, even when wrecking is as it is being implemented and rolled out, there are always people with the concerns that what happens when my vehicle is damaged during a wreck. Why it is that things are being done in a way that you can damage the parts on my vehicle, which means that I would now have to incur even more than the cost to release the vehicle back to me. What is in place for persons whose vehicles are damaged while being wrecked?
Well, it is not on the police if your vehicle is damaged. I mean, once the vehicle is being wrecked, enough care should be taken to ensure that there is no damage. But however, the makeup of some of these vehicles, when the wrecker lifts it, it may cause some damage to the bumper or so forth. And if persons are found themselves in that position, they may have to seek redress elsewhere. So it's not the responsibility of the police to fix that, right? They have other avenues that they may try to employ to have redress for their damages on their vehicle.
So I want to go back to the wrecking versus the fine, the ticket, because you said if you found the person, you give them a ticket, but if you don't find them, you wreck their vehicle.
Yes.
So it seems cheaper to have your vehicle wrecked than it is to get the fine. So persons might tell themselves, well, I'd rather you wreck my car than to park somewhere properly and not get, and you know, I park illegally.
Yes.
I've been caught. I'd rather you wreck the vehicle and actually come out and take responsibility and take the fine. What sort of mitigation measures do you have from persons preferring to be wrecked than fined?
I have never encountered that situation where a person prefers their vehicles to be wrecked because it's a inconvenience to you, because you may be busy, because most times your vehicle is wrecked is because you park indiscriminately to run into the bank or to run and purchase something here or something. So you're on the go, you need your vehicle. So I think that persons prefer to get a ticket than to be inconvenienced, to go to the police station, to get that vehicle, produce your documents, your driver's permit, your insurance, to get that vehicle back from the police. So while it is cheaper in some instances, the inconvenience, I think, weighs heavier.
All right, okay, viewers, we have to go for a short break, but when we return, we continue conversations concerning traffic regulations and the wrecking. So do us a favor, share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back after these messages.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We continue our conversations with Sergeant Karen Jonas concerning obeying the traffic regulations and wrecking in Tobago, particularly. I think it's more so in the Scarborough area, but yeah, wrecking in Tobago. So, Sergeant Jonas, tell us, some persons have a bit of an issue with the whole idea of wrecking. They see it sometimes as unfair, particularly in those more urban areas where parking, public access to parking, legal parking is very short in supply.
Yes.
So, from a TTPS perspective, how do you all deal with that?
Well, I think we understand that parking is limited more so within this Scarborough area. However, there are certain car parks that persons can go and occupy, right? And there are other areas in which you can park where you would not be wrecked. But try and avoid the areas in which you know parking within 9 meters of a corner, parking where there's no parking restriction on certain streets. We must be aware of the rules and regulations. We are drivers, and ignorance of the law is no excuse. So the police will use their discretion in those instances. However, if you are found wanting, most likely your vehicle will be wrecked. All right, and I just want to reiterate so that persons can be aware of the process. The police officer is to make a brief check for the driver. If that driver is not found, then the police officer has the right to wreck that vehicle. At the point in time, if the driver comes before the vehicle is taken away or removed from the parking spot, then the police must release that vehicle to the driver and issue them a fixed penalty notice. Right? Outside of that, your vehicle will be taken, and again, there's a storage fee of $500, sorry, wrecking fee of $500 and a storage fee of $200 per day if you haven't removed your vehicle from the station where it is lodged.
We have a situation, we're talking a lot about motorists, but let's delve into a bit about pedestrians. And we see pedestrians very often crossing the roads recklessly. Do police officers charge pedestrians for jaywalking and that kind of thing, or is that left up to traffic wardens?
No, we understand and that persons wants to cross the road, but they need to do so responsibly, right? Jaywalking is a thing that I haven't seen for a long while. I mean, it's still there. However, the police officer do not really charge persons for that offense, because most times the police officer is not at the crossing zone. So the responsibility is really on the pedestrian. And the motorists are expecting. Remember, I said the responsibility is on everyone, both motorists and pedestrians. And you cannot be crossing the road with your cell phones in your hand and not paying attention because you know that there's a zebra crossing there. Mm-hmm. You know, people like to say the pedestrian is right. And once you're in the zebra crossing, The vehicle must stop. A vehicle cannot just stop just like that suddenly for you. So you must be aware, and you must take cognizance of the fact that safety is your responsibility as well. And you have to look out for the motorist as well as the motorist must look out for the pedestrian as well.
On the note of pedestrian crossing and the zebra crossing, school has opened. What is some of the advice you would give to parents to relate to their young ones when they are approaching zebra crossings? Because a lot of the times when you're in these school zones, as much as you're very careful, sometimes even with the bus drivers as well, they would stop in front of the zebra crossing. They would not signal the reason why they are stopping. And when you realize, okay, time for me to merge out because there is nothing in front of me, by the time you get to the zebra crossing, there's a child running across.
Yes.
So in that instance, can you give some advice to parents that they can pass on to their children as well as the bus drivers as well and anyone approaching school zones in particular? Because we've had so many instances in the last year of young children being struck on the crossing.
Yes. So firstly, motorists must take their times around the school zone. Must be careful. There are speed limits. Obey the speed limits. And be vigilant, because you know young children have a tendency of just running across the road. Parents must educate their children on proper road crossing procedures. I know it has been done in the schools. Sometimes in the assemblies, they talk to students about crossing and the zebra crossing. But parents must reinforce that as well. In terms of the drivers and our parents stopping to drop out their children, use your hand signals. There are no overtaking hand signals that we learn in our regulation. We must go back to these things. So most times we have our air conditions running. So we stop, we put on an indicator, and we believe that the driver behind us must be aware that a child is coming out of this vehicle. Use your hand signals. Ensure that the person or the driver behind you is aware that you're about to drop off your child and the child is going to cross. So we have to educate the children more so and ask the drivers to be vigilant and take their times around the school zones.
As you're saying that, I just want to put out that one of the safe measures persons could take is don't cross in front of a vehicle. When you come out of a vehicle, go to the back of the vehicle and cross. That way, oncoming traffic would be able to see that somebody is trying to cross. So I guess buses could, instead of stopping in front of the zebra crossing, they stop after the zebra crossing and allow the children to come to the back of the vehicle onto the zebra crossing and then go over. But as we're talking about children crossing, we have a situation that has been going on for long years, maybe close to 20 years, a burning issue in Tobago where parents stop on the highway and they allow their children to cross the highway over to Pentecostal Light and Life. Talk to us about the dangers that poses, not only for the children, but also for motorists as well.
Yes, so that area is a busy area because we are speaking about Light and Life, and there's Bishop's High School not too far, right? It's the highway. The speeding limit there is 80 kilometers per hour. And you know, from time to time, persons may exceed that. So picture we know that that area is busy. Is heavy with traffic on a mornings and a evenings. So dropping your child to cross the road there poses significant danger to the child, more so the motorist as well. Because picture that busy area and the speed that person passed there with. To come back out on the highway after you stop on the side of the road is a risk. So avoid that. Go around, leave home earlier, go up to Sangsa and drop off your child. There's a big car park in that school. And avoid those instances where you put your child's life in danger. And also, you yourself being a motorist, trying to come back onto that busy highway.
I want to go a bit now to the highway and in terms of speeding and reckless driving. We know that in Trinidad, from time to time, the highway patrol is set their speed traps and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What is the kind of activity that the TTPS hopes to do in the Tobago region to curb that level of recklessness on the major, not just the highways, but the major roads in Tobago as well?
Right. So there's the speed gun in which the police uses to test the speed. Long time used to use a whistle. You have one officer up here and one down there, and you blow the whistle and you use the time and you measure the speed in which persons pass. And now we have the speed gun. So as the carnival season approaches, all those measures will be employed. So persons must be aware, and to avoid being ticketed, know that the police will be out there, the police will be on the ground and enforcing the rules and regulations. The speed limit on the highway is 80 kilometers per hour, and in built-up areas, it's 50 kilometers per hour. Once you stay within those speed limits, you will be okay.
Now, Sergeant Jonas, we want to thank you so much for coming this morning and talking to us and giving us the updates on crime, advising pedestrians and motorists to be safe on the roads, and to give a bit of insight about this whole wrecking controversy. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, viewers, we have to go for a break, and when we come back, we're having some conversations with Mr. Damian Edwards, who is the president of ASI Tobago chapter, and Mr. Diamond Andrews, who is the vice president of ASI Tobago. They'll be talking to us about Advent Business Expo 2026. So do us a favor, share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back after these messages.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships. It's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are at the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do, what to eat, how to get restful sleep. Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meats served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules, or if you are having a cooking day off.
Hair goals, we've got them. At S&R Hair Fantasy, we provide a wide variety of quality hair, the latest hair accessories, adult toys, skin lightening products, female underwear, and much more under one roof. Check us out on Shelbourne Street in Plymouth or call us at 317-0808. We're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. S&R Hair Fantasy, for queens who know exactly what they want.
Is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So, even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place.
Tobago family, I'm Pastor Marvin Smith, Youth Ministries Director of the Caribbean Union, and I'm looking forward to spend 1 week of inspiration with you at our ASI Convention 2026. Wonderful theme, sitting on the edge. Come January 24th to the 31st, all roads go to the Good News Seventh-day Adventist Church. All roads lead to the Good News Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I'm looking forward to spend time with you. Tobago, come let me go. ASI Convention 2026. See you there.
Viewers, welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And we have in studio with us Mr. Damian Edwards, who is the president of the ASI Tobago chapter, and Mr. Diamond Andrews, who is the vice president of the ASI Tobago chapter. And they're here to talk to us about a number of initiatives and programs upcoming, and some that went last year. But firstly, we want to tackle the Advent Business Expo 2026 and the convention. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tobago.
Good morning.
Nice to be with you.
tell us about this, the Advent Business Expo 2026 and the convention.
All right. Thanks again for welcoming us. And viewers, we are glad to be here. Advent 2026, it's all about exploring and also letting individuals know that we as Adventist business person and professionals, we are making our first venture in having an Advent Expo. It's one that is going to showcase the small entrepreneurs who are in our space of Tobago, who have various businesses. And so we are encouraging you on the 25th of January, which is next Sunday, from 10 a.m. you are going to see a various of produce, their various different stuff, and also professionals who are going to be there at the marketplace at the food hub.
Right, so that's important for them to know. Food hub.
Yes.
Is the place that we are going to be, and we're going to be there from, actually you're going to be there from Saturday night, setting up, putting things together, but the program begins at 10.
Yes.
Actually, we'll be shooting off at 10 o'clock. That is on that Sunday morning of the 25th at the food hub. We want to encourage people to come and see what Adventists do, come and see the business that we operate, come and bring some monies and you can buy food. You don't have to cook on that Sunday. Everybody just come and have a good time, carry home food for your children and so on and so on.
It proves to be a networking affair.
Yeah.
Yes.
ASI is networking. Yeah. ASI is the Adventist Layperson Service and Industry. ASI is all over the world. Tobago chapter is one of the booming chapters all over the world. So they call us for anything. We always come up with new initiatives, and that's why we are having the expo. It's the first time we're doing it, so we're bringing in all the business people, all the professionals, all the gardeners, all the carpenters, all the masons. Whatever you do, you could come in and display your goods.
So for this business expo now, it's for the general public, and it's not an exposition of Seventh-day Adventist business persons, or is it for persons who are even beyond the Adventist denomination?
Is for the business exposition itself is for Adventists. Because we do it all over the world, but it's the first time we're doing it in Tobago. So it's the Adventist folks. Whatever you do, you could come and make your displays. We try not to bring in people from outside because it is an Advent, which means Adventist expo. And then sometimes people come and bring stuff that we don't really use and eat and drink and so on. So we try to prevent that as much as possible.
Okay. And but members of the public, general public, are welcome to come and see what it is that Seventh-day Adventist has to offer.
Correct.
That's right.
That's right. And so we want to encourage them to come. As my vice president has said, it's for you to turn on your pot. We are going to be having lots of food, and we want them to come and taste the different cuisine. You know, individuals are afraid of, alternative lifestyle, the healthy lifestyle. But when you come and you see how it is being prepared, the taste is going to leave a lasting impression on your tongue. So we want them to turn on their pot and come. There is no cooking at home. Come and bring your $50, your $60, your $100. Come and spend it at the food hub.
And it's not only food alone. We have clothes, we have shoes, we have craft, we have background for weddings. And it's everything.
It's everything.
A wide array of businesses that will be on display.
That's correct. That's correct.
And just tell us a bit about the convention now. What could persons expect from the convention itself?
Well, the convention is going to be exciting. As you would have seen on the promo, we have a youthful and energetic speaker, Pastor Marvin Spitt. He is the youth director of the Caribbean Union of Seventh-day Adventists. So our churches is set up in such a way that he's responsible for the Caribbean Union, which includes Tobago Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, and he's our keynote speaker. But our convention is going to be different this year because we have different activities. In our union, we are celebrating 100 years.
That's correct.
Right? And so with that 100 years, we're doing things a little different. We are going to be inviting different sector of Tobago to come, and we're going to pray with them and for them, and we're going to give them tokens of appreciation, celebrated with the union 100 years of Adventism in our sphere.
So we are going to the schools. Every day somebody goes to a different school. We are going to churches. We are going to anybody who need prayer. We are moving from place to place. And then we are going to open the convention on Saturday of the 24th at the Good News Church at 9 a.m. Sorry.
Yes.
And then
That's in
we are going
News is in Scarborough.
Yes.
Good News is right down the street there from us, from where we are here on the Esplanade.
Yes.
Right? And then on Sunday, we spend the day at the food hub. Everything is going to be there on the Sunday. And then Monday night, we come back to Good News. And we're going to finish at the Good News Church for the rest of the week. Right until Sabbath.
And anybody who is interested in attending the convention, is it free of charge? Is there a fee?
Free. Just come in.
Just come and just be prepared to be blessed.
Yes.
It is going to be a convention of a difference.
Big blessing. Anybody, any religion, any denomination, whatever you call it, anybody could come.
And for those who might be listening in, Seventh-day Adventist members of the church, who might be listening and they have a business, they didn't know about the convention and they're interested, they didn't know about the business expo, and they're interested about getting involved in the business expo. How can they do that?
All right, so we would have decided now the deadline would have closed, but because of our overwhelming response, we have extended the deadline until tomorrow.
That's correct.
So tomorrow, those of you who are now hearing of it and now you really want to be part of, you have until tomorrow to send in. There is a link where you register, so we'll capture the name, and once you register, we have the personnel who are going to call you and give you all the details.
How can you find this link?
The link, we have it, I don't know if Ronel can put it up, but there's a link, and on the social media that we have been advertising, the link is there. So all you have to do is either scan the QR code or they click the link and they will be registered.
Where are we getting it on?
Right, so
ASI
the social media
chapter?
handles.
Okay, ASI Media Tobago.
Okay.
On YouTube and Facebook. Yes.
Okay. And I know that last year you all came on air to discuss raising funds and goods to send to Jamaica in light of the hurricane that would have passed there during late last year during the hurricane season. I know you all wanted to give some sort of report concerning that.
Well, we could report that everything went well with our distribution of stuff. Folks gave. George Leacock did a nice promo for us, and we came here and we did a promotion also. We were able to send an airplane this year. You know, normally around Grenada, St. Vincent, and so on, we send big boats.
Yes.
But this year, somebody offered an ASI member who is from Belize offered us an airplane, and they came to Tobago and pick up our stuff. We were able to send 16 high-power generators to help people with electricity. That was one of the biggest problems we had down there. And some food stuff and so on. So we loaded the plane, captain came and he brought the plane, and we loaded the plane, went through the riggers as usual to get the airplane here and to have it returned same day. And that was very, very successful.
Now I'm seeing one other thing on the card here for you all to discuss. ASI is part of the Adventist Church in itself.
Yes.
It's a religious organization, and a big part of the Adventist Church is evangelism.
Yes.
And I see here you all have an initiative called Improving Lives in Tobago through Evangelism, Jesus in the Marketplace.
Yes.
Just speak to us a little bit about what Jesus in the Marketplace is about.
Okay.
Okay, so as business individuals, you know, there are many individuals based on the experience from businesses. Sometimes businesses can be shrewd, it can be dishonest. However, because of the Christian element and because we understand that Christ is one that makes a difference, then in our behavior, in our way how we treat with customers, from the top come down and from the bottom go up, we must exemplify a difference. So in our business, we share Christ. How do we share Christ? There are times that you go, for example, my brother D is by his lunch place. He'll have his TV screen on and he's playing Christian content that is going to encourage, because many times people come and they are stressed. They don't know what to do. They may have a challenge. They may have a decision to make. And based on how we interact, they can. So in our business place, they must have an environment of difference. Not better than, but different. So it's sharing Christ, using literature, using evangelism, the electronic media. Every avenue where we can share Christ. So we are not limited to a church setting, but even when we go to work, how we share it and how we do it well.
Whatever we do. Taxi drivers must have, so when somebody sit down in a taxi driver and at Seventh-day Adventist ASI member taxi, they must know that this is a different taxi. You go to the bank and you see a worker, that person must be different. You're not behaving the same way as everybody else behave, but you have decorum and integrity.
Yes. And let me give an example. As Brother Diamond mentioned taxi, there is one of our members who is a taxi driver, and he have magazines stuck in his back seat, and there was this passenger came up and they had a very important meeting to do, but they were stressed and they took the magazine, they read it, and when it was time for them to return back to their destination, the passenger thanked the taxi driver and said, "Thank you for that literature. You didn't know what you did for me," because it really leveled what was happening in my mind, and I was able to go to the conference, do my presentation, and be more relaxed. So that is how Christ in the Marketplace is being shared by so many.
All right, we want to thank you very much, Mr. Damian Edwards, President of ASI Tobago Chapter, and Mr. Diamond Andrews, who is the Vice President of ASI Tobago Chapter, for coming in and speaking to us about Advent Business Expo 2026 and the convention, as well as giving us updates on the charity to Jamaica. Viewers, unfortunately, we have come to the end of the Tobago Updates morning show, but the programming continues on Tobago Updates. We have up next GMT, so do us a favor. Share the live, share the live, share the live. GMT is up next.
The Tobago Day Awards 2025 are here. Celebrating excellence, dedication, and the people and organizations making a lasting impact on our island and its diaspora. From the Medal of Honor to the Diaspora Award, this is your chance to nominate those whose service, leadership, and achievements deserve the spotlight. Nominations close on September 30th, 2025. And remember, only online submissions will be accepted. Visit www.tha.gov.tt to submit your nomination today. Let's celebrate our Tobago Trailblazers together.
The Health Hygiene Lounge is a family-friendly space designed to support the health and dignity of women and families. It features two main rooms. The first is the Menstrual Health Room, an educational and service-oriented space that promotes menstrual health, equity, and empowerment. The second is the Breastfeeding Room, a private, comfortable environment for nursing mothers. Together, these rooms reflect our commitment to maternal and child health,
I am thankful that this facility is now available. It really does provide a space for breastfeeding mothers to come here, whether with baby or just to pump during the workday and do that in comfort. It is an essential need, and just having this space makes it so much easier and provides that peace of mind.
I think this hygiene lounge is a step in the right direction. I think for a very long time, women have not had the opportunity to have a space that's private to deal with issues of menstruation or breastfeeding. So I think it's a step in the right direction, and I really think that is something that should be adopted across the board through different divisions and private sector throughout the island.
This space is more than just four walls. It is a place of dignity. It is a safe space to speak, to learn, to advocate. It represents a commitment to stand in the gap for those who are too often unseen. Together we can localize our efforts, streamline our objectives, and align our outcomes. By doing so, we move beyond temporary relief and towards a comprehensive solution that puts an end to stereotype, miseducation, and period poverty once and for all.
This is a great opportunity for us to show that we truly understand the needs of our growing families, and we are able to provide the kind of comfort that would make them happier.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
The Tobago Day Awards 2025 are here. Celebrating excellence, dedication, and the people and organizations making a lasting impact on our island and its diaspora. Of the Diaspora Award, this is your chance to nominate those whose service, leadership, and achievements deserve the spotlight. Nominations close on September 30th, 2025. And remember, only online submissions will be accepted. Visit www.tha.gov.tt to submit your nomination today. Let's celebrate our Tobago Trailblazers together.
So Amari reached out to me, said, "Mommy, I feel I'm ready to arrange." I said, "Arrange what?"
They're less than 1 year old, but Uptown Fascinators Junior Steel Orchestra isn't bothered by that. They have taken the brave step into the National Junior Panorama for the first time.
Top to bottom, tell me what they get. Who are you going? The recap. Well, I always wanted to be an arranger, and I just never had the opportunity. And when Mommy came up with the idea that we could make a junior side from Uptown, I was like, yeah, we could do that. But I wasn't sure if we'd have enough players, and from when we started till now, it's been a big jump in players. So I've been excited and I like the challenge.
So girls, you're getting ready.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning as
Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix, and guys, you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. In a decisive legislative move last Friday, the House of Representatives passed the Tobago House of Assembly Amendment Bill 2026. The bill received unanimous support from the floor, securing 38 votes in favor and 0 against. This passage marks a pivotal moment for governance on the island, as it formally clears the path for the expansion of the Tobago House of Assembly's executive. The amendment is designed to facilitate a restructuring that allows for a larger executive body, intending to better address administrative needs and enhance governance capacity within the Assembly. Additionally, Chief Secretary Farley Augustine has announced a group of priority projects set to commence within the next 3 months. Speaking at a press conference on Friday, the Chief Secretary outlined a clear roadmap for the first quarter of the new term, placing a distinct emphasis on high-speed delivery and operational efficiency. Among the most anticipated developments is the construction of the long-awaited Scarborough Secondary School, the Corland ECCE, and the Melva Joefield Youth Hub. The infrastructure push also includes several housing projects that were carried over from the previous term. And finally, the Division of Tourism, Culture and Antiquities and Transportation has condemned the assault and robbery of a Canadian visitor in Tobago on Friday, January 16, 2026, describing the incident as isolated. In a statement issued yesterday, the division expressed concerns for the visitor and extended best wishes to him and his family for a speedy recovery. The matter has been reported to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, with DOTCAT expressing confidence that the investigation is being treated as a priority. And that was our news in 90 seconds. This morning, we jump straight ahead into our conversations, and we are talking a bit about parental and paternity leave. We're talking about men's interest this morning, and to have that conversation, we are talking with Mr. Rondell Fields, who is the president of the Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Now we're talking about the move towards Trinidad and Tobago not only acknowledging but making provisions within law for fathers to benefit from paternal leave. For persons that do not necessarily understand what these benefits mean for men, please give them a bit of a background understanding.
I think every father or every mother or wife that would have had a child understands the significance for the father being there in the immediate postnatal stage of the birth of a child. As I always say, this just isn't about fatherhood. This is about parenting generally. One of our greatest supporters when we advocate for parental leave or paternity leave, rather more specifically, are women, particularly women who have suffered or had to recover from surgeries or C-sections, women who suffered from having postpartum depression, and fathers who most of the time had to take or seek leave, seek their vacation leave or leave on no pay leave, to be able to be there to support the mothers and to be able to be there to also nurture the child as well and build a bond. And that's the thing. We need to understand the value of this to men as well. I don't know if we think men are robots or if we think it's the day of the man of yesteryear who only wanted to play the financial role. But men of this year, men of this generation and this time want to be vested and involved in their children's lives. You see it. You see a lot more fathers playing the role in the PTAs. You see a lot more fathers at the games, a lot more fathers at the graduations, many more fathers being involved in these things, and we want to be involved. And there's a specific reason for that. I always tell people it is my belief that because we were the boys of yesteryear who didn't have our fathers, we understood the lack of not having the father there, the things we missed out on, and many of us purposed in ourselves from boys to be better men, to be better fathers, to be better exemplars, and to be there for our children. So it's really a slap in the face, for lack of a better description, when you have that passion and desire now, but because the law was enshrined a particular way back in the day, that you're not given that opportunity to be able to be there, to have those experiences. It hits us many times, the real feeling of being a father. The first time when we hold the child, we understand the duty of care that we have when the mother is pregnant, when we take the mother during the whole trimester stages, whether it's to the health center, whether it is to the gynecologist, all these places, we are part and we are parcel. But unlike the mother who has the natural experience of feeling the growth of the child in the womb, we only really get to wean and to cuddle and to hold that child at that postnatal stage. So that's a very important stage, not only for children, but for the man himself.
Right. And as it stands now, the way that the law is set up, both men and women in the workplace pay the same NIS contribution. But women benefit from that NIS grant when they do get pregnant, that maternity benefit. The future of this legislation or the future of the advocacy, does that lead towards men also benefiting not just from being given paid leave to be away from work and still be paid, but is the advocacy moving towards also ensuring that men can benefit from that paternity grant?
I mean, most definitely. I mean, we one of our greatest ambits of this advocacy has been gender equity, gender equality in the workplace. There's been a campaign for gender equity and gender equality for over the last decade, but it's always primarily focused on women. We've never paid attention to the issues where there's been discriminatory practice toward men. And when you look at parental leave, it showed that over the last decades, there's been that gender discrimination, and that's because of our social view of what a man is, and he's more a substitute parent, or he's a filling parent, or he's a secondary parent. And now, as I just lamented before, we see that men are now pushing back because they want to be more involved and more directly involved, and that's their right to do. So it's also a very critical part when it comes to balance and when it comes to gender equity or gender equality in the workplace, because men, as you rightfully said, make the same national insurance contributions. So can you imagine a father, because a couple of them had called me when their babies had died, and the 11 babies that died in Mount Hope, I think it was a year or two ago. And even though the child wasn't there, the mothers were able to proceed on their maternity leave. And they needed the support of their husbands to grieve. The father himself needed the opportunity to grieve. So he was not given that opportunity, even in an instance where he lost his child, to even grieve, heal, and also support his wife. You would say he would have gotten bereavement leave for 7 days, but at the end of the day, that wouldn't be sufficient. So we have not given men the equal opportunity to be able to perform the roles that they're supposed to perform, to be able to experience the bonding that they deserve to experience as human beings also, when it comes to playing their role as parents and fathers in their families.
Understood. And for women currently, there is that maternity leave of 3 months with the possibility of an expansion for an extra month without pay. How long would this parental leave or paternal leave be?
All right. Well, I can't speak to what they're determining to draft. I know there's a number of suggestions. I didn't hear an extension, particularly of the maternity leave currently. What I did hear is that women who had 2 children in the same year, and we've seen that take place in other entities privately already, where women who have children in the same year, one in the beginning, one at the end. The second child, most times, they weren't given the opportunity, I believe, to receive maternity leave as they did with the first child. So I know they are aspiring to correct that. I can't speak from my past capacity as a director in the telecommunication Authority Board, that was something when we amended the parenting policy, we significantly increased paternity leave, and we also did the same as well for mothers who had that second baby in that year as well. So we have seen, I think, in the modern generation, a more progressive move to encouraging parenting in family life. We understand the value of financial gain, but socially, we'll be lying if we don't realize we have a problem, if we don't admit that we have a problem when it comes to family involvement, when it comes to family playing an impactful role in the lives of nurturing and rearing the children. And where we might be gaining money in one aspect, we possibly losing the significance one of the family and the impact that the family, a bonded, structured family has on the impact of the children.
Right. And, as it pertains to men advocating for themselves and being aware of these policies being implemented and the change in these laws, what is the organization doing to raise awareness, and what can men do to maintain that level of awareness or keep themselves informed and their colleagues informed?
I think it goes beyond men. Men generally, I could come here from now to the next 20 years, as I've done for the last 15 years, and tell men to care about themselves. But we have to be honest, we have not put enough out in our social space. We have not recreated narratives that have spoken or positively about manhood and men and fatherhood. It's always been negative narrative. It's always been negative television shows. There's always been negative cliches that's strung across the entire country and the world by extension. So most men, it's very hard sometimes to motivate a man. They don't expect anything. Most of them are surprised possibly that this paternity thing is actually coming to fruition. And I see this now as a good opportunity to show an intent of change, because now we must now redirect the narrative, have a more positive narrative pertaining to men so that young boys understand the value of self-care. We have a generation of men who don't care about themselves because there was nothing that was promoted during their early stages of boyhood that showed them that they were relevant, that they were valuable, that they should be appreciated, that they should be loved, and they should take care of themselves. Hence the reason we have such a problem when it comes to male health care as well, because we have not, as a society, and I say by extension, a world focused and given men the hope and opportunity to see themselves as something that should be valued, something that should be cherished and cared for. So that is where we need to start with that whole narrative, rebranding the narrative of manhood and showing it in a more positive light, removing the whole ideology of this toxicity that we like to label onto masculinity all the time, and have a more positive outlook at manhood and by extension fatherhood.
Excellent. And even as we round off our discussion this morning, is there anything that you want to say as it pertains to where you want to see this legislation going, or just the policies within the workplace going to be more inclusive?
I mean, I would like to see, as we said, that level of gender equity and equality when it comes to the issuance of time, so that men are allowed and given the opportunity on equal time to do the bonding with their children and other support as well to their wives. I want to encourage businessmen to explore all other ways of doing business. We have blended spaces that can be created now as well, that a man could be able to do these things and still be able to render some service wherever he's employed as well, if he decides to go on an extended leave as well. I also want to, encourage us generally, not just the government rather, to not just focus on creating this legislation, but to do exactly what I said before. Let's create a new narrative. Let's start putting the right type of ads out on television. Let's start putting pro-father, pro-male ads out on television, because we have to really encourage positive and good manhood in our society. I always tell people the only thing that can deter, reprimand, or redirect a negatively empowered male is a positively empowered one. And unless we start hashing out more positively empowered males in our society, we'll be living in a chaotic society, and I can guarantee you that.
Understood. Well, we want to thank you so much, Mr. Fields, for being here this morning and just coming and giving that level of background understanding from a men's perspective on how this new legislation truly does impact our society. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back after this with much more conversation. See you soon.
The energy fill the skies. Do more, live more. Do more, live more. Oh, do more, live more. This is how it's gonna go. Do more, live more. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. Everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look out below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look out below, 'cause this is your show. Do more, live more.
Tobago, the sun is rising, and so are the conversations that matter, from the economy to education, from healthcare to community voices. No spin, no fluff, just facts, truth, and clarity. Join me, Lavian, as we cover the issues that shape our lives, the stories we can't ignore. We bring them to the table and ask the questions you want answered.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash in transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates, guys. You know, we have to continue those discussions as it pertains to one of the most historic election outcomes we've seen in Tobago in a very long time. We saw a 15-0 victory for the Tobago People's Party over the People's National Movement last Monday evening. This morning, we're talking about the impact of those election results on Tobago's economy, Tobago's future, and Tobago's business sector. And to have that conversation with me this morning, I have the privilege of sitting here in studio and chatting with Mr. Demi John, who is the former chairman and vice chair of the Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Chanel. Morning, Tobago.
Excellent. Now, as I said in my introduction, a historic victory, and so much so that there has to be legislation in the Parliament to amend the Tobago House of Assembly Act to facilitate the number of assemblymen that are currently in the executive. Tell us a bit about what that means on a whole from your perspective for Tobago's future.
Well, it's not the first time that we've seen a political party taking all the seats in the Tobago House of Assembly. It happened in 2013 under the PNM. And I remember Mr. Orville London saying, it's the hardest time to govern because, one, you have to actually police yourself. There is no opposition within the House. So organizations like the Chamber, Hotel Association, they will now have to step up to be the watchdog of the Tobago purse. And they will have to now have the Tobago House of Assembly on their toes and the pews and the key. You also have the PNM. The PNM have to now restructure and see how they can go forward, because what Tobago is saying is that we are not comfortable with the candidates or the position you are putting up. So the PNM has to do some work there. But in terms of the arrangement for Tobago and the Tobago House of Assembly, I think it's a win-win situation. I think we can benefit a lot out of the next 4 years, especially with the central government and the Tobago House of Assembly being friends. There is no animosity from what we are looking on and seeing. So the Chief Secretary should be able to get a lot of things done this year. There is no official opposition in the House. So he don't have to waste time going and look for questions, answers, etc., that kind of thing. And I liked what he said. He's given the secretaries 9 months to perform, or else you can be changed around. That is something that we have to look at and see how they perform within the next couple of months when the secretaries are signed. Hopefully we should have that this week, we're hoping. Now the bill has been passed in the Parliament. So it's exciting times for Tobago. We have a lot to do. We've been complaining of a lot of things, and I think the Chief Secretary in his bucket list in terms of the things that he wants to get done now, we have to start to accelerate those plans. Really and truly, we have to start. It's the dry season, especially for construction. It's a perfect time start to get a lot of these things off the ground.
Right. And do you think if the Chief Secretary is able to fulfill his mandate of efficiency and getting these things done within quick time, that it could turn around the culture of governance on the island?
Yeah. So now, look at it. Everything depends on the Tobago House of Assembly. In terms of business, even though you're in the private sector, somehow you are linked to the Tobago House of Assembly. If the Secretary for Finance and the Chief Secretary sits down and really plan out how the economy of Tobago spreads out in the next 4 years, and you start to really and truly push the private sector, increase the private sector, have the private sector in a position that they can stand on their own, because as it is now, if you're not working for the Tobago House of Assembly, your business not going anywhere, right? We have to change that. It's something we've been talking for the last, 15 to 20 years. We need to really take the bull by the horn now. The Chief Secretary, from looking at his posture, it looks like he's serious about what he's saying. We want to support him from, especially, I can't speak from the chamber, but from the private sector members. They actually said, yes, we look forward to working with the Tobago House of Assembly. So if you have everybody working, the whole governance structure of Tobago, the whole, how you manage the island if you bring on people who are not supportive of your party, because it can't be a TPP, PNM, we against them, that kind of foolishness anymore. Elections is over.
All right.
We have 4 years to fix this place. We have a great opportunity in terms of the align with the central government. And I think the first thing outside of the general bucket list that he put on, the autonomy. That autonomy bill, I from where I sit, I think we should look at putting that autonomy bill within the parliament in the next 6 to 9 months. Shouldn't go further than that.
Right.
And I think that is something that he should look at.
I think he did discuss going back to the people of Tobago and getting some input on that before it gets to
listen,
that place.
I was working in the Tobago House of Assembly since with Ho Choi Charles days. We was up and down throughout the whole communities of Tobago talking about the autonomy. That discussion has been beaten for the last 30 years, basically. This autonomy. What is needed? Prepare a draft bill, send it out to Tobago, give Tobagoans about a month to study it, and then the Chief Secretary have about 4 big meetings, North, West, East, and South, and let people send in their comments, their concerns, and after that, you invite the opposition leader and the PNM around the table and say, this is what we propose. Do you have any changes? You trash that out. So I would say within the next 6 months, that should be done, because we've been through going back to the communities and meetings every night. We did that. Ho Choi Charles did it. Orville London did it. Kelvin Charles did it. Farley Augustine did it so many times. We have to say here, well, enough is enough. We have I think everybody understands what the autonomy is all about. Let us get that bill up and running for once and for all. And just about 4 massive meetings. You have people come, they present, you hear what they have to say. People could send in their concerns online, and let us get that autonomy out of the way. So when it goes to Parliament, the opposition cannot say that they don't know about it or they want to stop it. So from the bill leaving Tobago and go to the Parliament, it should be an understanding that everybody is on board, that this is what Tobago wants, and the discussions have already been. That should not take us more than 6 months. We understand what we want, and it's about time we implement it.
Even with the decisive nature of the result that we saw, Tobago has made such a decision before with the 13, but we've never seen 15. So since the expansion of the districts, the electoral districts, what does this decision truly mean for Tobago in electing 15 candidates from the Tobago People's Party?
There's a direct message from the people of Tobago. We want the Tobago Party, People's Party, to lead the charge for the next 4 years. That is what the message is. Simple. You could twist it how we want, we could say what we want. The bottom line is Tobago have spoken, and I hope that we don't, with the changing of the bill, that you don't have to go back to our next election. I really and truly hope that you don't, if you're bringing on another and changing Act 40 of 1996, you do somewhere within the sign up, we already had an election, because it takes a lot to run an election. People need to heal. We need to move forward. We cuss up each other on the media. We do bacchanal. Let me sit down and somebody has to be the big man here and say, listen, Ansel Dennis and your team, we recognize that you had over 11,000 Tobagonians support you. You are important to the decisions in Tobago. And for the first time, I hope that the two parties could come together and say, listen, this is for the betterment of Tobago. And don't be, it's a PNM thing and it's a TPP thing. We don't want that. We had enough of that. That is for election. Election over, everybody should be a big people now. The thing is, what it means for Tobago is that we have a perfect opportunity to fix a lot of things that we have been complaining about for too long. Let us move forward, get the autonomy bill. The UNC government is working with the Tobago House of Assembly, and let us use that to our advantage. And that is just what we have to do.
Right. And the electorate making such a decisive move, and some persons will call it rejecting the People's National Movement. What do you think would have attributed to persons making such a decision now? And we can either look at it from, do you think it was a messaging problem that the People's National Movement had a problem with the message that they were putting out there, or was it the leadership and the strategy?
Let me be frank. The PNM now has to go back to the drawing board and look at the strategy. The PNM lost the general election. They lost the last Tobago House of Assembly election. You lost this 2026 THA election. What it means is that whatever you are selling to the population, especially the people in Tobago, they're not buying into it. In terms of the PNM has to grow their base. The PNM has about 10,000 members. If you look at the last THA election and this election, they're only crossing about 11 to 10,000. So what it's telling you is your core people voting for you, but you're not able to attract anybody new. You have to start to attract the young people. And I made it clear to some friends of mine recently. The Orville London era ended about 8 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. A child who voted now, I saw some trend from Speyside voted for the first time, right? First time voters. They were 10 years old, you know. You understand? They knew nothing about what you're talking about now with the Orville London era and etc. You have to now be appealing to those children. The next set of children coming out of school in the next 4 years, they're 14 years old, but they will vote in the 2029 election. So you have to understand the next election, the next THA election 4 years from now. You have to understand, you have to start to be palatable to those young people. The energy have to be up there. You can't just come and say, all right, we want this lady vice. They don't understand those things. So it is not appealing to them. You have to come down to their level and say, listen, this is what we propose. And you have to find a way to strategize to get. So the PNM need to go back into a room and say, listen, let us strategize as to how we can come back and be palatable to especially the young people. You see the young people will determine if you go in office or you stay in opposition. And if you don't appeal to them, you will always stay in opposition as a political party in Tobago.
Right. And what do you say to the persons who say, well, if you're at the top, there's only down that you can go from there? If the Tobago People's Party already have 15, the only place to go is down. So how do you,
listen,
what do you say to that?
Farley Augustine has everything to lose. The PNM has nothing to lose at this point in time. The idea has nothing to lose. Farley Augustine, if he wants to stay in charge of Tobago, he has every single thing to lose. Nobody else have anything to lose in Tobago right now other than the TPP. The TPP has to do everything and report to people and say, listen, this is what we do. And even try to attract that 10,000 people. So next time you go up and even when you win 15 votes, you should come around with about 20-something thousand voters, right? If you do your administration right, if you do the campaigning, if you report to people, if one thing that the pet peeve that everybody in Tobago is saying, the chief secretary do answer phone, right? That is out there. I saw Akel is being sworn in the assembly, and I give the chief secretary some advice. Give Akel a phone to answer. People just want to hear, hey, listen, the chief secretary is not available. He will try to get back to you, and you take some notes and say, listen, chief, this person called, that person called, this person called. Because you have to have somebody you could trust, right? So I would recommend that you put Akel in the office of the chief secretary to assist the chief secretary with some of these things, because he now has, if you feel governing was hard, you now have 15 assemblymen to now police, and you have about 11 divisions to police. So he has to be supervisor for everybody.
You have the 3 councillors.
And plus you have your councillors to fight up with. So he'll need help. He'll need help in terms of things that he has to do. So my recommendation is the TPP has won. Let the election die and let us move on. Build Tobago. Antigua doing better than us. Barbados doing better than us. Everybody doing better than us in tourism. We have to study what are we doing. Now we have an alliance, and this is where you come back to, if you have somebody on the other side and your partner and your friend, you say, listen, the amount of money Tital spending airlift to Tobago, it's crippling Tital, right? what you might want to say is, Airport Authority, you deal with the airlines coming in Tobago and let TTAL take that money and do marketing. You understand? What we need to do is marketing. In news, when I was in information division, no bad news is not bad news. There is always some good about it. Coming out of what the situation with Venezuela, everybody in the world knows Trinidad and Tobago now. Every single person in the world knows where Trinidad and Tobago. Use that to your advantage. TTAL should be actually selling to the American market in terms of road shows, promotions, this, that, and say, listen, Airport Authority, we want you to pay for the flights and that kind of stuff. So it takes the burden off of your resources to do that. So it's an interesting 4 years, Chanel. It's really interesting. We look out, we have like the contractors, they forming themselves into an association, which is something the chief secretary recommended. He actually was the one who recommended and said, listen, all the form yourself into a body so we could talk. He and Trevor James said that to us in a meeting, right? It's now happening. I think this week you'll see a rollout of that even better.
Right.
And then we look at meeting with the Tobago House of Assembly and say, listen, you have a couple of projects. These are the projects that we are capable of. These are the projects we are not capable of. And we stop the shouting and the fighting across the room because it ain't helping nobody in Tobago. And that is how you move the island forward.
Right. Excellent. Well, we're going to take a quick break right here and we're going to return with much more conversation right after this. So see you soon.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. This morning we have been chatting with a very familiar face, popular businessman here in Tobago and former chairman of the Tobago Council of the Division of the Tobago Division of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry.
It's a long word.
Yes. Now, this morning we've been chatting about a number of things, but one of the things that you have let us know is that the contractors in Tobago are now gathering themselves together to have that association, the Tobago Contractors Association. We've heard from the Chief Secretary that, you know, the agenda is for a lot of infrastructural development within this second term in office. Does that make the business sector excited for what is possible to come?
Well, the excitement is there. I will tell you, we should have a meeting sometime this week. I think it's Thursday at 4 o'clock upstairs. Tambourine by the church, the Open Bible Church. Don't hold me to the date and time, but I think that is the time, right? And you have, from what we looked at, is about 150 something people who want to become members. A lot of people calling. They want to be members. They want to be part of the association. Unity is in strength, right? Our strength is in unity, sorry. We will form the organization, we'll get the organization up and running, and then we'll go to the Chief Secretary and say, listen, this is a skill set. If you didn't know, sometimes people just don't know what you have on the island and the capacity you have on the island. And this is an invitation to all contractors, people in the construction industry, everybody to come out to our meeting on Thursday at 4 o'clock at the Open Bible Church. Come and let us elect an executive. And we really want to go to the Tobago House of Assembly and say, listen, you have all these projects lined up. We employ Tobagonians and Tobago business persons. We spend our money around the circle. The issue you had in Christmas is that there was no money circulating in Tobago. So what happened is that you had a flat Christmas, basically. A lot of people complained that Christmas was the worst, etc. We want to change that around. I don't like to hear anything negative or bad about Tobago, because one thing you're going to know about me, I like to boast wherever I go about Tobago. You need to change that, and we need to sit down with the Executive Council, especially whoever is going in the Secretary of Works position. Those should be the first set of meetings that the Contractors Association, supported by the Chamber, to go in and say, listen, how we going to execute these projects? How are we going to pay? Because small people, you can't give them a contract and within 2-3 years they're waiting for money. They will crash. Right. You have to say, listen, we have $5 to spend. Okay, let us spend the $5 this way. And you get the businesses to be able to feed from that and be able to grow from that. And our next thing is timely payment to suppliers. I was very happy when I heard in the press conference that the Chief Secretary said the Secretary for Finance will now, they're going to the ACH payment for suppliers within the Tobago. So that is an excellent thing. So you don't have to go and wait for somebody to stamp a check, wait for somebody to type a check. Oh God, listen, they have to batch it, it's just too old. That is outdated. A man need to get money and he want to get money now. Listen, you're going to be paid on Friday. By Friday, bam, your ACH it in your account one time. Right. So all those things, there's a lot the Tobago House of Assembly have to put in place. Right. And they have a tall agenda. And I say, let us support them and make sure that things will, because if it works, it benefits Tobago.
Right. And there's so much we could actually talk about as it pertains to what does this 15-0 victory for the TPP mean for Tobago moving forward? But one of the things that stood out to me in the press conference on Friday is the fact that the Chief Secretary mentioned that he would be seeking legal advice on finding out if there can be a localization strategy within the Procurement Act that exists. What is the position of the Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce on this particular position? What are your recommendations? How can you guys be a part of that conversation? How can you assist? And where do you think that would help Tobago to go as it pertains to prioritizing Tobago businesses?
You want me to tell you something? Mr. Lal Chan was the president of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce when I was the chairman. He was the president of the national body and I was the chairman. We welcome Mr. Lal Chan. He, in 2016, 2017, Kelvin Charles was Chief Secretary. And do you know, and Tobago know, that the Tobago House of Assembly was the first government entity to adopt the rules of the OPRO. That was done in Tobago. It is a fact. Mr. Lalchan came here in 2016, I think, and we rolled out I have videos and pictures still on my phone of that first initial meeting of this thing called OPRO. So it is very good that they are bringing Mr. Lalcha, because he understands the business climate and he understands the small business people in Tobago. That he's very familiar with that. Very, very familiar with that. So he is one. He was the first person who really structured that OPR, and that was an excellent idea in terms of bringing Mr. Lalcha to know. I don't think 3 months is enough. I would guarantee you he would need more, because he will now have to go to each sector and sit down with each person, like Hotel Association, Truckers, Bed and Breakfast, Contractors Association, and sit down with their members and teach them how to do up the tenders. We're not winning tenders. What is the mistakes you're all doing? Let me see what you presented. And he could evaluate it on the spot and tell you, listen, he has that capacity. And I was happy when I heard this Mr. Lalchan is the one that they took. He and his team will come and do that. So yes, the chamber would be excited. He's one of us, our members. He is very knowledgeable about the Tobago business environment, and I know he will come and do justice. And he's the one the private sector could really go to and sit down and say, listen, we want this thing to work in our favor.
Understood.
Right?
Well, I really wish that we had more time this morning to go further into our conversation, but we would still continue our conversation.
Yes.
Even outside of this. It's just unfortunate that our audience won't be able to hear it. But we always are happy to have you here and to hear your perspectives. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussions. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and have a great day.